The following is a DW Ancient Egypt production. Higher mathematics were not needed to build the pyramid. The only thing required was social organization and lots of manpower for quarrying the stone, transporting the blocks, and feeding the workers. The pyramid was not magical. We know the purpose for the pyramid. It was a tomb for the burial of the pharaoh. It's important to know the difference. A temple was a place of worship. A tomb was a place for burial. The pyramids were tombs. Another point that needs to be made, the pyramid shape was not magical. Although the ancient Egyptians believed in magic, the pyramid was not a form the Egyptians considered as magical. The renowned Egyptologist Bob Breyer clarifies, the pyramid shape was an architectural development. It developed. It evolved. Magical conspiracies would have been silly even to the ancient Egyptians. The pyramids were not built by slaves. The old movies with the slaves and the Egyptian soldier with the whip striking the worker as he pulled the stone is not accurate. First, it would have been very difficult to control thousands of slaves. Secondly, there was never a large number of slaves in Egypt that were used for work projects, especially the number required to build the pyramids. So who built the pyramids? The Egyptians did through the use of work gangs. We have their inscriptions, and we now understand the organizational structures they used. Egypt was practically an agrarian culture. Everyone was a farmer. These farmers would be used during the time of inundation, when the fields were underwater. When Herodotus, our ancient Greek tourist, went to Egypt thousands of years later, he was told how these pyramids were constructed by the ancient Egyptians themselves. They didn't say the pyramids were built by aliens or by slaves. They told him 90,000 men, separated through work gangs, created the pyramids 3 months at a time. Now, the number of 90,000 men is like the numbers used in ancient battles, and it may be inaccurate, but you get the point. Ancient Egyptian farmers created the pyramids when they weren't working the fields. An interesting point that no one really talks about, no architectural papyri exist explaining how to build the temples or pyramids. Bob Breyer believes these were trade secrets, similar to the mummification process, which was also never written down. So how was the Great Pyramid built? First, workers removed the sand and cleared down to bedrock, as you can't build on sand. Just look at the bent pyramid. They probably built channels in the earth at the base and filled them with water until they had a level surface, much like a carpenter's level. Now, wherever the water ran out, you know that's lower than the rest of the base. So they kept leveling, digging channels, leveling until the water stayed in. Once the water stayed in, then they had a level base. Again, you did not need higher mathematics to build a pyramid. You needed craftsmanship and precision, and the Great Pyramid demonstrates both of these. Surveys show the Great Pyramid at 13.5 acres. From one corner to the other, the level varies no more than 2 inches. That's precision, all done through a simple technique by filling channels with water. How did they bring all the blocks to the site? They didn't have to. The quarries were right around the pyramids. You can still see these quarries today. What was far away was the limestone casing that was used for creating the smooth outer surface, but that stone was much smaller and could easily be transported down the Nile. But how the stones were positioned at the top of the pyramid, by ramp or winding road, is a debated subject. They probably had both. We know they used ramps elsewhere, as some of these ramps still exist. At 480 feet high, any ramps used would have to be 1/4 of a mile long. Obviously implausible for this project. But the Great Pyramid was most likely created using a winding road equivalent more accurately to the switchback. The sides of the Great Pyramid are perfectly aligned with the 4 cardinal points, north, south, east, and west. They could do this by careful observation of the stars, primarily through following the North Star. An example of this is demonstrated by Ramses II when he creates his temple at Abu Simbel. Here, he is able to use perfect alignment to illuminate specific statues within the temple depending on the time of year. In the end, careful management, not higher mathematics, was all that was needed for construction, which was completed within 22 years of Khufu's reign.